February 26, 2018. What do I think that this dream means, about Billy Graham and West Avenue and all of that? We'll just go through it and I'll just interpret this dream. Since I've had so many comments about Billy Graham, I took down the two that I had this morning. Those two videos, I took them down. That's where they went. I dreamed that it was talking about Billy Graham. West is the end of the day, the street is the path. At the corner of being at the end of the prophetic day and the fight of faith, which I'm failing at. And it was here in my town that represents home. And the place was called Moore's. And the Bible says, if you believe in Jesus, that you'll basically, in a parabolic sense, go from this life and get more. And it was stored up, a store. And it turned into a restaurant, so you should eat those spiritual things, which I'm failing at. And so then a voice said, as I turned on Fite Street, Fite is the fight of faith, be on that path. Billy Graham was an Illuminati. All I can say is I'm not his judge. And I don't know everything that he did. So I'm just going to leave it that I had that in a dream. That's all. But, if it was true, you're supposed to steer clear of it. So I drove a few more feet. I was in my truck, and that's your chariot. And it was horses and things years ago. So I drove a few more feet, still on the street to the driveway where you turn in on Fite Street. And a voice said that he made it that hot cherie. And I think cherie, it seemed like meant something like famed or esteemed or something like that, or real important. I know 100% the name Marie means bitterness. Now I don't know, I'm just saying I dreamt it. So I looked at the parking spaces, and that's where you rest your thoughts. As the parking spaces, that's what that represents, or like a park represents. Well, the one closest to the building, just remember the store, was Moore's, and a parable for going home when you get more. And it was the third one, and Jesus was rose on the third day. And that parking space closest to the building, was not lined up with others. That means that, like, the doctrine they told you didn't line up, with the true doctrine. So the parking spaces were off. It didn't line up. And it was the one, closest. And this, the two, were at an angle, and this ditch made it practically impossible to safely park or get in and out of the third parking space that you had to get in. And that's all the devil and the false doctrine and all that stuff, all this crap that I'm fighting. And it's sad. And because this wall behind it was so close, Trump says, build that wall, build that wall, build it on the southern border. South is down. Build that wall. And it was behind the parking space where you couldn't get in it after you turned into their parking lot off of Fite Street. And that's the wall that was built with untempered mortar that's in Ezekiel 13 that I read a little of the other night. And, you know, that's what stonemasons do. Build that wall. Build that wall. And, you know, it's in the Bible, so, you know, the Bible says it too. And between Fite Street and their parking space, there was like a 3-foot concrete median. This is where this wall was. Well, then I heard a voice say this. Billy Graham was a 33rd degree Freemason. All I know about it is that's the highest step or whatever that you can get. So that's all I know about it. I'm not a Freemason. Don't know anything about it. I'm just saying I had this dream. Well, I heard the song by Pink Floyd called Sorrow. And the ditch kept Minnie from getting to this store and restaurant. And in the dream, it was pretty expensive, and Jesus paid a real expensive price. And the food, you know, it said was top end, and you know, if you eat a Jesus, that's top end. And you know, some of the best in town, and you know, it's a parable for heaven, you know, being the best, and it's top end. And you know, I woke up and the parking spaces were like what I showed you in the 2 diagonal ones and the 1 straight one, and you know, the narrow gate is straight. And you know, the other 2, you know, are slighted at an angle, so they were off, and you know, they had dug a pit to keep everybody from getting to the 3rd one, and that's what was going on. And it was the one that was closest, you know, to Moore's supermarket, and you know, if you believe in Jesus, you get more, you know, parabolically, and you get it all, but you know, it was saying Moore's, and they want to do everything they can to keep you from, you know, getting in Moore's and going to heaven. The devil wants to do everything, which is obvious with me, and that's why that wall was behind it. You know, the Ezekiel 13 wall is what that was, so you couldn't turn into the straight gate is what it was, and rest your mind. And you know, I can't do it, and you know, it's just a mess. And I thought that I would put that up in 2 videos, the dream and the interpretation. And I took down the other 2.